Hello, YouTube. Today on The Naughty Librarian, I am back with another recap review, and this time we are reading book 2 of the Songs of the Seraphim series, which is Of Love and Evil. The first book of this series was mediocre at best, and I would love to say the second book really took it up a notch. But it didn't. It's still mediocre, but slightly more likable. Anyway, we have this whole book to get through. Surprisingly short for Anne Rice, but she does pack a lot of events into it. So let's just get right into the recap. So at the end of Angel Time, Toby found out that he has a whoopsie baby with his high school girlfriend. So in the interim between that book ending and this book starting, he has contacted Leona, his high school girlfriend, and he's just waiting for Leona to show up with their son, Toby Jr. So Toby's going all over like the lobby of the Mission Inn, and he's scanning the crowd. He's looking for Leona and Toby Jr. And then boom, it's like, you know, like time stops. He sees Leona and Toby, and like everything just kind of hits him all at once because he hasn't seen her in 10 years. But he's like, oh my God, I was so in love with her when I was a kid. So it's just kind of like boom, all of the big feels all at once. And double that with the fact that Toby hasn't had any romantic relationships or even just close friendships. He hasn't had like any real human interactions in like 10 years. And then if we're gonna triple down on his emotional state, he sees Toby Jr., his son, and his son looks so much like his little brother who died 10 years ago. So, it's just like emotional gut punch after emotional gut punch after emotional gut punch for this guy. He's just having a nervous breakdown yet again. But anyway, he approaches them. They have their little like hi reunion type of situation, and then they spend the whole day together. Like they go out to fancy meals, and they go to like this mission San Juan Capistrano, and they're just like hanging out, having like family get to know you type time, and it's like a nice day. Everyone has a good time. And then we get to like the evening. They've had dinner. Toby has rented them a suite, so they're staying at the Mission Inn as well. And Toby's just like, Leona looks super good in that outfit today. Like he's just all of a sudden full of boners for Leona. But out of the corner of his eyes, he sees Malchias sitting there, and he's with another angel that we find out a little bit later is actually Toby's official guardian angel, and his name is Shmara. And both of them are just like watching this situation unfold. So like, ooh boy, does he lose his boner real quick. So he's just like, okay, and like just kisses her on the forehead and says, all right, good night, bye, and like runs away a little bit. So Toby, he retreats into his room, and frankly, he's real pissed off about this because he's like, listen, I work for angels, but I'm not a priest. I should be able to have sex if I want. So he's very grumpy, and I get it. Blue balls will do that to you, I suppose. And so he's like, Malchias, what the fuck, bro? Like, am I not allowed to like live my life? And Malchias like, well, good day to you too. First of all, Toby, you're allowed to have sex. We're not stopping you. I don't want to watch that. I'd leave if that started. Second of all, why are you trying to have sex with her at all? Okay, you spent the last 10 years as an assassin, and you just met your family, and like you're trying to make amends for all of the horrible things you've done. Do you think now is the appropriate time to be starting a relationship with this person? And Toby's anger cools down rather fast. He's like, oh yeah, you're right. You do make good points, Malchias. I shouldn't be having relationships with anybody right now. I can't even commit to them. Who knows when you're gonna send me to like quantum leap into the past? And Malchias like, well, now that you mentioned quantum leaping into the past, well, there is a new mission we should talk about, but you know what? It's late. Get some sleep. We'll talk in the morning. So Malchias, I guess, just disappears. The next morning, he's gonna have his big like goodbye moment with Leona and Toby Jr., and he gives Leona these 2 folders that he had prepared. And basically, he set up these like massive trust funds for both Leona and Toby Jr. because being an assassin pays really well, and he's never wanted anything to spend his money on besides a few normal things. So he has like so much money in the bank doing nothing. And also, hey, just saying, here's like a burner phone. I'll call you when I can, but it's only gonna be on this burner phone, and you can only call me on the burner phone. And Leona's just standing there with like gobs of like trust fund money and a burner phone going, what the fuck do you do for a living? Like, who does that? Who gives you a burner phone phone and says like, hey, don't contact me unless it's on a burner. I don't think she assumes assassin, but she probably assumes drug dealer. Leona's like POV is never gone into. We just know this poor girl is just so confused. So Leona, Toby Jr., they leave the hotel, and Toby Sr. go back to his hotel room, and guess who's there? Malchiah. And he's like, oh, perfect timing. We have a new mission. But this time they're gonna go back to like early 1500s Renaissance era Rome. But instead of being a monk this time, Toby is going to be disguised as a Jewish lute player. So he's just a traveling bard. And the only like mission directives he gets from Malchiah is that, hey, you're there, you're a lute player. You gotta go find this guy. He's Jewish and his name is Vitali de Leone and you need to help him. End of instructions. Wouldn't it be great if he like told him anything he's supposed to actually do? But nope, just leaves him in the middle of Renaissance Rome with a lute and a prayer. So Toby's like, all right, I guess I'll figure this out. So he just starts walking around with his lute. He's like, I guess I'll look for a crowd. That's where trouble is. Toby parts his way through this crowd and he gets to the front door of this like little piazza. And everyone's like, whoa, bro, you're new here. Don't go in there. There is a book in this house and we've been trying to exercise it. But fucking Vitali, he won't let us in to do it and he won't leave the house. So like you shouldn't go in there because it's a full demon. So good thing this crowd was so happy divulging all this information to him. So now he knows why he's here. Likely because of a demon. So Toby, he rings the bell to this house regardless of everyone's warnings, and Vitali opens the door and he lets him inside. So here's like the TLDR on the problem at hand here. The house belongs to this guy, his name's Signore Antonio, and it sat vacant for like 20 years, and the previous tenants were like these Jewish scholars, and Antonio, he wants to give it to his son and his son's new bride Letitia so they could like move in and live there. And Vitali is best friends with the son Niccolo. And he wants to stay there to act as like Niccolo's secretary and physician. And literally the first night that Vitali showed up at the house to like get things in order for Niccolo, he started like praying, doing his prayers, and then all hell broke loose. All of a sudden there's a vicious ghost creating havoc all over the house. And Vitali's like, oh no, what did I do to fuck this up? Because he's really worried that his prayers might have caused this to happen. Because Vitali was praying to be like famous or recognized for his like scholarly and physicianly pursuits. So he's like, oh no, I was being selfish and I unleashed a demon. But there's nothing to be done for that because now they have a ghost who's just poltergeisting around the house, breaking shit and like banging around. And then when Niccolo actually tried to move into the house, things got even worse because Niccolo was going to move in early because he fell off his horse and like he got hurt, but Vitali treated him and he recovered from his injuries. He didn't have any infections or anything, but ever since he like stepped foot in that house, and he has since moved across the street into his father's house, his health is just declining every day. Like he can barely get out of bed, and Vitali's like, I don't know what's wrong with him. I'm assuming ghost problems. However, the people in town don't think it's a ghost problem. They are highly suspicious of Vitali, and they're like, you're probably poisoning this guy because you're Jewish, because there's racism since always. And spoiler alert, Vitali is genuinely not poisoning Niccolo. He's a good dude. He just wants to help his friend. Toby, having listened to this whole backstory, is like, well, shit. Why don't you take me to Niccolo? Like, I brought my lute. I'm here to play the lute. I'll like comfort him. Like, who doesn't like a nice little lute tune before bed? And Toby really just wanted to go over there because he wanted to like sniff around and see if something's like amiss, because Toby was a trained assassin for 10 years and his main tool to do his assassinating was poisons. He's kind of an expert in it. So in the bedroom with Niccolo is his father Antonio and his younger brother Lodovico, and they all seem really desperate to want to help Niccolo. And Lodovico is really overselling his like pain at seeing his brother hurt. It's like a little bit dramatic at this point. And he even mentions how, like, I'm doing everything to make Niccolo better. I even changed his diet. Like, the only thing he eats is this black caviar that was sent over by the church. And Vitaly's like, what the fuck are you talking about? I didn't approve this. I'm his doctor. He's only eating caviar? Are you out of your mind? And this is a big red flag for Toby, because one thing that really helps mask the taste of poison is black caviar. So he's like, oh, this kid's getting poisoned. I know it. Oh, who's doing it? But regardless of Caviar Gate, Vitaly came to do doctor stuff on Niccolo to help him, like, recover. So he's like, everyone just get out of the room. So they leave. Toby plays his lute for a while. It's kind of, you know, like, hey, let's have a doctor's visit and some sweet tunes. And Niccolo, he kind of falls asleep. Toby's work is done here, so he leaves the room. And he's like, kind of has like a vibe. He's like, I should probably go check in with Lodovico because he's been giving his brother the caviar. So he finds Lodovico and he's like, hey, buddy, you seem really like upset that your brother's sick. Like, could I play you some lute so you like relax? And he's like, yeah, okay, whatever. So Lodovico, he brings him to like this study they have in the house. And Lodovico is just like, you know, beating his chest, like so upset that his brother is sick because he loves him. And then if his brother dies, his father's gonna likely just kick him out and disown him. It's like a whole thing. He's genuinely having some anxiety in all of this. And it's mainly because he's kind of like an illegitimate brother, because Daddy, Senior Antonio, had a whoopsie baby with a sex worker, and that is Lodovico. And Niccolo found him when they were both like kind of kids, and he's like, oh, I have a brother. Let's be real brothers. Papa, I want to have a brother. So the father's like, okay. And so he buys Lodovico from his mother. And Antonio wasn't necessarily the best dad, but he wasn't the worst dad. Like, he certainly provided for Lodovico and everything he needs. He got him the best like education he could. He genuinely wants him to succeed in life. He's not being mean to this kid. He even brought him on like travels all over the world. In particular, they went to Brazil recently. And so Toby hears that and he's like, ooh, that's red flag number 2. And so Toby starts looking around the room because there's like all of these plants, and Toby spots it kind of right away. He's like, oh, I know that plant. It's from Brazil and it is poisonous as all hell. I know it because like I've used the poison before. And it tastes redonkulously awful, but if you stuck it on caviar, it would totally blend in because it's also like these little black seeds. It's perfect cover for this poison plant that's in Lodovico's study. So bing, bang, boom, that's another red flag. He's out of red flags at this point. It's just a glaring like, oh my gosh, this guy's poisoning his brother, ain't he? But like, why? Why would he do so if like his like livelihood and his ability to stay like in the nobility was at jeopardy for poisoning him? But Lodovico is in a chatty mood. Maybe it's the lute music, but he starts telling like his whole life story. Oh, I fell in love with this girl and her name was Letitia, and she was this wealthy secret daughter of like a high-placed cardinal, and he made the big mistake of telling his father how much he loved her. And like Letitia is hot and well connected, and the father's like, oh, I've never noticed Letitia. You know what? She would make a great bride for your brother. I'm gonna marry them off. So, we have our smoking gun here because he's in love with Letitia, who is going to be married to his brother. If brother's out of the way, maybe Letitia, but like, honestly, I don't think the father would give Letitia to like Lodovico either. He's an illegitimate son. Like, he's just mad because he's like, I wanted her and I can't have her no matter what, so I'm gonna kill my brother. So Toby needs to make a quick exit at this point, and he's like, okay, well, you know, I'll pray for your brother to get better, okay? And runs away, and he's like, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, where's Vitaly? He finds Vitaly, and he's like, Vitaly, hear me out, okay? Lodovico is totally poisoning Niccolo. The plant that has the poison is literally in his office. And he obviously sneaks it into the caviar because he just said to everybody, I feed him caviar. But here's the thing, Vitaly. You are still a Jewish person in this time period. So like, just leave him be. But what I need you to do is like put doctor's orders into this that he can't have any foods where you would be able to have like black things in it. Like it all white. Just get him only white foods to eat. And you'll notice right away if there's like black stuff in the mix because like that's the poison. And Vitaly's like, oh my God, you just found out so much information. You've been here for like 25 minutes. What the fuck? So Vitaly's like, all right, cool. You get the evidence and I'll just make sure he only has milk to eat because that's white. So break. They go off in separate directions. Toby, he goes back downstairs. He's gonna go to the study and like collect a sample of the plant. But when he gets there, the door is locked. And then coming up the hall, there's Antonio sobbing and like 2 armed guards and 2 priests and Lodovico with them. And Toby's like, oh shit. So they take Toby along with them and they all go back to Niccolo's room. So after Lodovico's like whole soul-bearing conversation he had with Toby, he's like, oh, I know I'm cook. I said way too much shit. So immediately after Toby left, Lodovico, he just ran off to Daddy and he's like, Papa, I have a story. I know what's going on with Niccolo. It was Vitaly. He's putting Jewish spells on everybody. And Vitaly's like, are you kidding me? I have never done a spell in my life. I don't even know how to do one. I'm just like a doctor. What the fuck is your problem? However, Vitaly's main problem here is that he's a Jewish person. So, you know, anti-Semitism running rampant. No one's gonna believe him if he says, I'm not a witch. Toby's like, I have some things to say. I know I'm new here. I've already figured out Lodovico is poisoning Niccolo. I was in his study. He's got this plant that he keeps downstairs. And I know it. It's from Brazil. Remember, Antonio, you guys went to Brazil and like, it's called purple death. So like, hello. And like, if you don't believe me, this plant's poisonous, like I'll run downstairs and grab some seeds and like, we can go find some street dog and feed it to him and you'll see all these symptoms that are the same as Niccolo's right before the dog dies, which is a shitty thing to do. And I get why he needs to like prove this, but like, why a dog? No one will forgive you, Toby. And after Toby's very scientific and reason-based, like, explanation of events, Antonio's like, you know what, new guy? You're making a lot of sense here. Okay, how about you go downstairs and get the seeds? Worst comes to worst, you're wrong, you know? And at this moment, here's another glaring red flag from Lodovico, because I swear he is made of red flags at this point, because he gets very upset and he pulls a dagger and he's like threatening people with it. And Toby's like, whoa, bro, like you are escalating things farther than they need to. You know what? Hey, if the caviar is completely safe to eat, why don't you take a spoonful? And Lodovico, as usual, produces another red flag and he's like, I'm not hungry. I don't want to eat it. And hey, since we're giving red flags out for free, Lodovico gives another one. He's like, oops, he just knocks it over so he can't eat it at all now. As it gets knocked over and all of like the goo is getting spread everywhere and some of it splashes at Lodovico and he literally recoils from the caviar. So everyone's like, oh, why did you recoil from caviar? Ooh, you are poisoning people. Like, it is so juicy, the drama happening here. Lodovico knows he's cooked again because, like, there is so much evidence against him at this point. And he's like, I'm angry. And he has his dagger, so he tries to, like, attack Toby with it, which, frankly, another red flag on the pile of red flags. But the thing is, Lodovico doesn't know Toby is a trained assassin. He just is like easily knocks away the dagger and like shuts down Lodovico. He knows how to fight. He kills people for a living. And like Lodovico is just ass on the ground now going, what? And Antonio's like, guards, take him away. Toby, go get the plant. We're gonna find out what's happening. Let's get to the bottom of this. So Toby, he goes down to the study. He puts on some gloves, he grabs a bunch of the seeds from this plant that he knows are poisonous, and then he like crushes them up into like a little powder. You know what? Trigger warning for animal cruelty, because they do go find a stray dog and they put the powder in like a little water dish, and the dog drinks the water and then kind of immediately has all of the same symptoms that Niccolo is having and then dies. Which is bullshit, am I right? What is wrong with you, Anne? You don't kill the dog. No one will stand for this. Maybe if it was like an evil dog, but this is just some random dog who's hungry. Fuck you. Like, I'm very upset about this. But back to the story. Lodovico, he's still trying to throw a Hail Mary here. There's still a couple priests around. He's like, no, I'm a good Catholic boy, and it's Jewish witchcraft that's bewitched all of us. He's just screaming about witches, and everyone's like, dude, like, we saw what happened. We all know you're guilty. And as soon as Lodovico realizes he's not swaying anyone to his side with all of his cries of witchcraft, so he's like, uh-oh, I'm in a lot of trouble. So he just grabs a handful of those seeds and swallows them, like faster than anyone can stop him. And Vitaly's like, oh my God. So he runs over and he's trying to like make him throw up the seeds, but it's too late. And Lodovico rapidly succumbs to this poison. So now that Lodovico's dead, Antonio is like, I need a minute. Can everyone just leave? So everyone's like, yeah, we get it. So everyone leaves the room. Antonio's alone with Lodovico's body. Toby is actually pretty shaken up by everything that just happened, which is a new experience for him. Like, he has seen a lot of death in his line of work, but in this case, he's like, oh shit, I showed up and backed Lodovico into a corner so far that he took his own life. He's like, I didn't kill anybody, but I made someone else kill themselves. I feel bad. So Toby leaves the house. He's like, I'm gonna walk this one off. He's taking a sad walk through town, and he's approached by this man. And the man is like, hey buddy, why the long face? You know what? I got you, bro. I got the thing that's gonna make you happy. And like, when he was saying this in the book, I thought this was going to be a sex worker. And I was like, ooh, Toby's in for a surprise. Spoiler alert, he's not a sex worker. He just takes Toby to like this lavish Renaissance party. And like, everyone's wearing masks. There's like wine everywhere. There's food. It's just the wildest entertainment you can think of. And Toby's like, wow, this is like a really cool party. And the man keeps giving him more drinks and more wine and more food. He's like, hey bro, hang out. This is like a good time. And Toby's like, you're right, this is a good time. So he keeps drinking. And eventually he's like, you know what? I think something's off about all of this. What stranger grabs a sad guy off the street and like brings him to this party with good intentions? None of them. So Toby's like, I think I should leave. I don't think any good's gonna come of this night. So Toby, he gets up, and the man's like, hey, bud, don't go. You need to listen to me for a minute, because like, guess what? Malchiah, this guy, this angel that you're serving, he's not a fucking angel. He's a spirit. And like, he can take people to other dimensions, and like, he can feed off their emotions, hence why he's dicking you around. So you're not on a mission from God, Toby, okay? You're an emotional buffet for this guy. And this whole monologue and ideology of them being like spirits is very much like the same ideology that Anne used in like Memnoch the Devil from the Vampire Chronicles. She has like some basis for saying this, and like she always left it really vague actually in Memnoch the Devil. Like, is this just a spirit or was it an angel? Because spirits and angels allegedly both exist in her world. It's complicated. Anyway, Toby's not buying what this guy is saying. He's like, listen, I hear you out. You're trying to appeal to like my logic, but like, guess what? None of this is logical. I am in the past. I quantum leaped here. Toby is like steadfast in his belief in Malchiah and also a little bit drunk. So he's like, nope, not today, Satan. and he like punches New Guy in the face, and he punches him so hard the guy is like like cartoonishly flung backward, and then all of a sudden they're like these blinding lights, and Toby's like, my eyes, like he can't really see what's going on, he can't even bear to look at it, but like he can hear what's going on, and he hears Malchiah like grab New Guy, and he's like, what's your name? And the guy's like, it's Ancanoc. Malachi's like, okay, Ancanoc, off with you, bud. And throws him the rest of the way off into the ether. So like Malachi banished this guy back to hell. And then as the light recedes, like Toby kind of snaps out of whatever like spell he was under. Like, I am immediately sober. So he just runs. He runs as fast as he can out of this party, and he runs back to Vitali because he's like, oh shit, I totally forgot why I came here in the first place. I'm supposed to help you with the debug. I'm supposed to defeat a demon, and I spent all my night dealing with like poisoning family drama. Oh no, like how did I forget why I'm here in the first place? So first things first, Toby's feeling pretty good in his demon slaying abilities since he literally like punched a demon into another dimension earlier. So he's like, okay, I'm gonna go in this house, I'm gonna have a word with this demon and see what's up. So Toby enters the house, and it's like quiet for a second, and then all hell breaks loose. It is upstairs, and like this Jabuk is just having like a full temper tantrum, like poltergeisting everywhere. And Toby's like, hey, what's your name? He's trying to like demand it like Malchiah did, but the thing is Malchiah's a seraph, so like he has a bit more juice in his asking. Toby doesn't have that same compelling energy. Toby's like, all right, let's try plan B. And plan B is just to take out his lute and start playing a little songs, and hopefully like the soft music will like calm down this angry spirit. And guess what? It works. Toby is like an amazing lute player, and he sees like all of the energy of the Jabuk take form, and it's actually like a ghost of an old man. It's not really a demon. It's been a ghost this whole time. And the old man starts walking downstairs to like toward the cellar, and Toby's like, well, I'm gonna follow this ghost and see what he's doing in there. And the old man can't speak, but he can point. So the old man is standing there, and he's just pointing at the ground really like hard. Toby's like, I don't know what's the ground. What? Is something buried? I don't know. And like this pisses off old man ghost. He just keeps pointing and then freaking out, and then boom, temper tantrum part 2 electric boogaloo breaks out, and then everything else starts flying around the house, and Toby's like, oh shit. So he starts running back up the stairs to get out of there, and he runs out of the house, and he runs next door to Antonio's house, and he just grabs the first servant he sees. He's like, oh my god, go get me Antonio, I need to have words with him. So the servant's like, okay, fine. So he just brings him to Antonio, and bam, 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 he starts pounding on his door. So Antonio's like, oh my god, it's the middle of the night, what the fuck is your problem? And Toby's like, we both know what's in that house next door. Like, I figured it out, and I know you figured it out. It's not a Jabuk, it's not a demon, and it's really a pissed off ghost of this old man, probably that Jewish scholar you lent the house to 20 years ago. What is the deal here? Because I know you know. And Antonio is like immediately ashamed. He's like, oh no, I didn't want this to be true, but like I know it's true. And he doesn't want to talk about it, but Toby's like, listen, Antonio, the time for your silence has passed, because the church is full on looking for reasons to take Vitali away as a witch, okay? You need to say what happened. You know some shit, say some shit. So Antonio was like, all right, fine. You know what? It's late. It's the middle of the night. We will talk over breakfast, okay? Pinky promise. Next morning, they're gonna go have breakfast, and Antonio sits down, and he's like, all right, everybody, I got a story to tell you. So here's the TLDR on why there's a very angry ghost in that house. So Antonio, when he was a really young man, he was living in Florence, and he was best friends with this Jewish man. His name was Leonello, and Antonio and Leonello both worked for Leonello's dad, this guy Giovanni, and they were doing like scholar stuff. And the thing about Florence in this period of time was that like the Medicis were losing their power, and like this other family was gaining power, the Savonarola. And here's the thing, Savonarola and like his friars, their favorite thing to do was to get people to hate Jewish people. They were raging anti-Semites, and things come to an head because one day these like false, stupid accusations pop up that like Leonello was seen like doing something blasphemous in front of a picture of the Madonna 3 times. So like Angry Mob gets formed and they come looking for Leonello, and Angry Mob manages to capture Leonello, and they don't give him a trial. They just like parade him through town and torture this poor guy. And he doesn't even die from this torture right away. He survives another 3 days before passing away. It's gruesome. I'm not even going to give you the details. So Antonio and Leonello's father, Giovanni, are just devastated by this happening. Antonio's like, Giovanni, you're like a father to me. Come back with me to Rome. I want to take care of you, is what Leonello would have wanted. So he takes Giovanni, they go to Rome, and he gives Giovanni the house in question here to live in. And Giovanni never really recovered after what was done to Leonello. He's just like a shell of a man, kind of haunting this house while he's still alive, essentially. Years go by, and Giovanni's still living in that house. He's doing scholar stuff, but he's kind of like a weird, creepy hermit. And he's just minding his own business. But the thing is, anti-Semitism is like the cool new fad in Rome. So like every Easter weekend, the church gets everyone real riled up against the Jewish people. And usually all the people, they start like going around to the Jewish quarter. They throw stones at houses and like they set shitty fires and just like being an angry mob, generally speaking. And then the Jewish people just hide out until they've lost their temper and things go back to normal. But this Easter in particular, Giovanni loses his shit on all of these people trying to attack him. Giovanni goes outside and he's like, oh, you're trying to throw rocks at me? I'm going to throw rocks at you. So he starts throwing rocks back at the angry mob. Honey, there are so many more of them than you. This is a bad idea. He's getting beat up. And Antonio hears about this happening, so he and his guards rush over to the house, and they're like, oh, Giovanni, let's go back inside. Okay. So he takes him back in, and he takes him down into the cellar, and he's like, Giovanni, what the fuck, dude? They would have gone away. Antonio doesn't know what to do because that angry mob is going to break into the house at any minute. He didn't bring that many guards with him. So Antonio is like, oh, I don't know. Okay, you need to get in like this, like the trap door at the floor of the cellar. Get in there and like it'll hide you from the mob. So like he literally like grabs Giovanni and throws him in this hole because Giovanni wouldn't get in it. Angry mob breaks in. They like ransack the house and stuff, but they can't find Giovanni. And Antonio's like, bros, he ran that way, I swear. The crowd's like, all right, fine. And they like go after where Antonio pointed them. Now that the crowd's gone, Antonio goes back down to the cellar. He's gonna open the trap door and pull out Giovanni. Except when he gets there and he opens the trap door, oh shit, Giovanni's dead. He was very injured from all those rocks getting thrown at him, and he was old. And then he literally got thrown in there by Antonio. So from some combination of injuries, Giovanni has passed away. So Antonio doesn't know what to do at this point because like the angry mob is still gonna go around for a couple more days. It's Easter weekend. They're wild. He just closes the door back up and goes like, oh shit, okay, you know what? I'm gonna wait for the crowd to like die down, and then I'll pull him out when they're like not looking, and I'll bury him properly. But then Antonio got a big case of the feels, just couldn't go back there and look at what he had done to Giovanni. And so he just left Giovanni in the crawl space for 20 years without ever burying him. Like, bruh, I can see why he's pissed the fuck off. Antonio, you had one job. Which is just to bury him, and you didn't do it for 20 years? So now back in the present time at breakfast, everyone's like, oh my god, go bury this guy. What the fuck is your problem? Like, this is obviously what's wrong. So they all go across the street. They go into the house, and they go down the cellar. They open the floor, and lo and behold, they find Giovanni's skeleton. And then when the sun goes down, they call in like the Jewish elders in town, and they finally take Giovanni away to give him a proper burial. Giovanni's spirit is finally at rest after all of these years. Antonio is like, hey, Vitali, you're like a son to me. You're Jewish. You can have all of Giovanni's stuff because he was a scholar. You have like all of his books you can use for like research. So yay, Tony Toby saved the day. They got rid of the Dybbuk, aka a poltergeist evil spirit. They got rid of a poisoner. So things are as they should be, right? But like, why is Toby still in the Renaissance? Like, shouldn't his mission be over by now? So Toby's just standing there like ready for Malchiah to grab him. And like, it just keeps not happening. So he's like, all right, I guess I'll go to the pub to wait because Malchiah's busy. I don't know. So he goes over to the pub and he's like, well, since I'm waiting, I'm going to have a good time. So he gets a drink, he checks out his loot, he's like playing for the crowd in this little pub, and he's playing all these songs that he used to play when he was a teenager and like life wasn't such a shithole for him. And he just starts feeling a lot of feels. So yet again, Toby is having another mental breakdown. He's just kind of sobbing and playing lute in a bar. And realistically, Toby is just finally feeling empathy for himself for the first time. And that sad lost kid he was, and just kind of forgiving him for making the choices he made. And he's also kind of happy. All this shit has happened to him because he kind of found his way back to his humanity. And he can like learn how to love people again. So he's having a whole like mental breakdown / mental breakthrough while playing the lute in a pub. And since Toby's finally, I guess, learned the lesson he needs to learn, Malchiah shows up, grabs Toby, pulls him back into the present. And then boom, Toby wakes up and he's like, where am I? And he realizes he's been asleep for like 24 hours. He was a tired boy. He's like, all right, I should probably check in on Leona. So he grabs his burner phone, he calls Leona, and they talk for a little bit. And Toby finally just blurts out like, I'm still in love with you and I want to see you again. And Leona kind of agrees. She's like, oh my god, I'm still in love with you too, and like, I also want to see you again. And so they kind of like come to an accord with each other, like, hey, maybe this will work out. I mean, Toby still has to atone for like a lot of murders, but maybe in a few years things could be better. So like, there's a little bit of hope on the horizon here. During the conversation, she's like, hey Toby, I feel like you need to know this. When your family had you declared legally dead a few years ago because you were missing, my father requested a sample of DNA. So the only person around that was close enough to you was like your cousin. They took that DNA and they compared it against Toby Jr.'s DNA, and like, hey, we found out you're definitely the father. They did genetic testing. They wanted to see if like he was at risk for any like diseases. I don't want to know what you do for a living, but like, I feel like having your DNA on file is probably a problem for you. So I just want you to know that, and you can take care of that. And as soon as Leona tells him this, Toby's like, thank you for telling me. I will talk to you again later. And they like hang up. And Toby's oh shit-a-meter is going off because he's like, I'm an assassin. There could be DNA places, and now they have like a record of my DNA. They're gonna match it to shit. And not only do they have my DNA, I went and started running my mouth, and I called up my boss, the right man, and I told him my real name. I told him from like New Orleans, and like now he can finally find my DNA, and he's like, oh my god, they're gonna find my kid. He's having a spiraling panic attack, and he's like, I got a lot of shit I gotta take care of. So first things first, he goes to Los Angeles where he has like a storage unit, and he disposes of all of like the disguises and the poisons he kept in there. He goes to his apartment that he rented. He like takes what he needs, everything else he leaves in there, and cleans off any fingerprints, and this leaves the door open. So hopefully someone will break in and like leave plenty of their DNA around doing who knows what. That's the point. They confuse the DNA as much as possible because he's got to go scorched earth at this point. So now that like Los Angeles is clean, he's got to go to New York where he keeps like his second stash of stuff. So he goes to New York. He does all of the same things he just did in Los Angeles. And now that like, you know, the earth has been scorched, Toby's like, I don't know what to do with my time. So he just walks around New York, and then all of a sudden he finds like this Catholic church, and he's like, I like the vibes on this place. I'm gonna go in. He finds like a nun. He's like, listen, I want to give confession, but you gotta find like the oldest priest you have. Really, I mean it. He has to be very old. Which makes sense because Toby, if he's gonna like confess to a lot of crimes, he doesn't want to do it to someone who's gonna be alive for a lot of years. He wants someone on the way out. A few minutes later, out comes like a very elderly priest, and Toby's like, perfect. Toby goes into confession with this priest and he's like, hey, father, I was an assassin for 10 years and like I was allegedly working for the good guys, and like I'm sorry that I killed a lot of people for 10 years. They were bad people, at least. Anyways, I'm not doing that anymore. I want absolution. It says I need to like make amends, and I want to be able to walk into a church and not feel like I'm gonna catch on fire from being so unworthy of being there. How do I do that? And the priest just showed up for work and already someone is confessing to 10 years of murder. So he's like very taken aback and he's like, okay, here's your absolution. He's just very confused. And Toby's like, thanks, bro. And he leaves like a rather large cash donation for the church on his way out. As Toby's leaving the church, he immediately, scans his like surroundings, assassin mode. And he sees like this young man and he's like, uh-oh, this is a problem, because I saw that exact same young man at the Mission Inn before I left LA. This is gonna be a problem. So Toby just turns away from this young man and he's just walking down the street trying to pretend he's like not in a lot of trouble right now. And Toby keeps like catching glimpses of this like young man following him. And this is like obviously like a really kind of nerdy kid out of his element. He's like, I don't know, early 20s. He's not really good at being invisible, obviously, because like Toby sees him all the time. He's not even trying to be inconspicuous. And Toby's still like freaked out and he's like kind of like not looking where he's going. He's looking at his periphery and he's about to cross a street. Like his car plows through a red light and someone grabbed him and pulled him away from the curb, effectively saving Toby's life. Like he would have gotten killed by that car. So Toby turns around like, who just saved me? It's Nerdy Kid. And Toby's like, what? Like he's very confused about all this. So he walks it down a little bit further and he sees an alley and he like grabs the kid and pulls him into an alley. And he's like, who are you? Why are you following me? Who sent you? All of the normal questions you would ask. So the kid is really flustered and he takes a moment. He like composes himself and he's like, hey, you're lucky the fox, aren't you? Like, I know you are and I need to talk to you because I want to know who sent you to kill my father. And then boom, credits, end of book. It just ends on a full cliffhanger. Who is this kid and who is the father that Toby got sent to kill? And guess what? It will forever be a cliffhanger because there's no more books in this series. I'm assuming there's probably supposed to be a third book in it and it just never happened. I don't really know what else to say about it besides it just ends unsatisfactorily. So in the end, this one was fine. I mean, it was an okay book. I don't think it was necessarily bad. I don't think it was good. It's just mediocre. It's like, yeah, things happened in it. It was a story arc and like I got to point A to point B. I just don't really care about it. I don't know. It's just mediocre. There you go. It's fine though. I don't hate it. It's just, it is what it is. On that note, let me know in the comments down below, what's a series you started reading that still doesn't have a conclusion yet? There's several book series that like are still on a cliffhanger, like Game of Thrones, the Kingmaker Chronicles, all of those things where you're just waiting for that last book forever. What is that series for you? Let me know in the comments down below. If you like this video, make sure you give it a like. If you want to see more videos, make sure you subscribe. And if you want cool exclusive content, you can consider becoming a channel member or a patron. Links for that are in the description down below. And on that note, I will see you guys soon. Goodbye.